After 3 years, in the poorest year of my life, I pretended to be my elder sister to take care of her blind fiancé for 500,000 yuan. On the day he regained his eyesight, I left without saying goodbye. The next time we met was at a business interview. I was an unknown intern journalist. He had regained his status and was the young master of the Su family who held great power. He was being interviewed. I heard that during your illness, you were greatly indebted to Miss Zhou, your fiancé, who stayed by your side through thick and thin. Are the two of you about to get married soon? The corner of his lips curved slightly, and he raised his hand to show the ring. Yes, she and I are about to get engaged. However, his gaze, through the lenses, landed on me in the corner, seemingly intentionally or unintentionally. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Before the interview meeting started, there was a lot of discussion in the venue. The young master being interviewed today is the person in charge of the entire Jiang family. I heard that he went blind 5 years ago and was even expelled from the Jiang family. If it weren't for his fiancée who stayed with him and took care of him, he might have been gone long ago. SHH, keep your voice down. I sat aside, barely maintaining a smile. But my fingernails dug deeply into my palms. Suddenly, my senior colleague, Brother Wang, who was guiding me, turned his head and said, "Little Tang, go and get me a glass of water to moisten my throat." Just as I walked to the water dispenser by the door was suddenly pushed open. A familiar figure came into my sight, and my mind went completely blank. In 3 years, the changes in Su Lingzhou were almost earth-shaking. His originally slightly thin and young figure had become tall, and the lines of his facial features were even more sharp. Those eyes that were originally misty were now completely cold. "Excuse me," he said lightly, and his gaze looked over through the lenses, sweeping past me as if looking at a stranger. There was no hesitation at all. Surrounded by several bodyguards, he walked onto the stage. As he passed by me, there was a faint woody fragrance. I froze in place. After a few seconds of delay, I suddenly came to my senses. The 2 years I spent by his side were precisely the most down-and-out period of Su Lingzhou's life. He was driven out of the Su family, and his eyes went blind due to a car accident. Of course, he didn't know what I looked like. That's fine. When I went back with the glass of water, the interview had already started. Su Lingzhou was sitting on the stage, with his fingers interlaced and resting against his chin, calmly observing the entire audience. He was answering those business-related questions. Suddenly, the side door by the stage was pushed open. Zhou Ningwei walked in and smiled as she complained to Su Lingzhou. "Sorry, Lingzhou, there was something going on at the film crew, so I'm late." Holding up her gorgeous champagne-colored dress, she took a seat beside Su Lingzhou. The whole audience was silent for a moment, and the atmosphere immediately became boiling and ambiguous. Holding the glass of water, Brother Wang turned his head and glanced at me, as if he had discovered a new continent. "Little Tang, don't you think you and Zhou Ningwei look a bit alike?" I pursed my lips and forced a smile. "She's a famous actress. You're flattering me too much. Of course we look alike, because she and I are biological sisters. I heard that during your illness, you were greatly indebted to Miss Zhou by your side who stayed with you through thick and thin. Are the two of you about to get married soon?" My throat suddenly tightened, and I looked at Su Lingzhou on the stage. He hooked the corner of his lips and raised his hand to reveal his left ring finger. On it was a simple silver ring. It was the ring that I bought part-time to make him happy back then. The young master of the prestigious Su family, wearing such a cheap ring, looked out of place, but he seemed not to notice, gently stroking it with his fingertips. "Yes, she and I are about to get engaged." As he spoke, his gaze swept across the audience. Intentionally or unintentionally, it landed on me in the corner. It only stayed for a few short seconds before being withdrawn. The microphone was then handed to Zhou Ningwei. "Miss Zhou, I heard that you are currently filming a movie directed by director Liu. He rarely uses new actors. Is there a factor related to Mr. Su in this?" She admitted with a smile. "Of course. I've always been very confident in my professional level. However, I also don't deny that Lingzhou has really done a lot for me." I completely deserve this preference. Her graceful and generous attitude instead won the admiration of the crowd. Someone asked, "Can you tell us the story of how you supported each other when you and Mr. Su were at a low point?" The smile on Zhou Ningwei's lips suddenly froze. In the eerie silence, the passage of time seemed to slow down. After a long while, Su Lingzhou chuckled and took the microphone. "There's nothing to tell. The memories between her and me are only for the two of us to know." My eyes suddenly felt sore. I clenched the pen in my hand and lowered my head in a panic. As soon as I closed my eyes, I would think of the past, when Su Lingzhou was a teenager. Due to his unruly personality, he offended many people. After he fell from grace, some people deliberately came to cause trouble in order to protect him. I was pushed down the stairs and fell, covered in blood. Those people were scared and pushed each other as they ran away. I gritted my teeth and stood up, pretending that nothing had happened, and walked back to his side. "Let's go home." But Su Lingzhou suddenly held my hand. "You're injured. Let's go to the hospital." "I'm not. I can smell the blood." His voice suddenly rose, and tears rolled down from those misty eyes, like stars covered in dust. The young man's not-so-broad arms hugged me tightly. When he opened his mouth, he called my elder sister's name, Zhou Ningwei. "When I recover, I will give you the grandest wedding in the world." After the interview ended, the sky turned gloomy. It was drizzling outside the venue. Brother Wang touched his pocket and started ordering me around again. "Little Tang, the memory card was left inside. Go back and get it." I ran on the wet ground. The elevator number jumped to 1. The next second, the door opened. I bumped into the two people inside. Zhou Ningwei was slightly tilting her head, talking to Su Lingzhou about trivial topics related to filming on the set. Although he had an indifferent expression, he listened patiently. Their postures were intimate. When she saw me, Zhou Ningwei's expression suddenly became extremely ugly. "Sorry." I mumbled an apology, turned around, and planned to take the stairs up, but Su Lingzhou spoke behind me. "Stop." I froze in place. "Aren't you going to use the elevator? Go up." I slowly turned around and deliberately lowered my voice. "Thank you, Mr. Su." He said I could use the elevator, but he didn't make way. Instead, he just stared at me. "Are you also a journalist for today's interview? Why didn't I hear your question?" I lowered my eyes. "Mr. Su, I just graduated and came back from abroad. I'm still an intern journalist and don't have the qualification to ask questions." "I see," he responded indifferently. And I didn't know what he was thinking. Zhou Ningwei beside him gave me a fierce glare and said, "Let's go quickly, Lingzhou. We still have to meet Director Liu and the others tonight." Su Lingzhou finally withdrew his gaze. "Let's go." I stood alone in the ascending elevator, lost in a daze. After my parents divorced, my father took Zhou Ningwei and married into the Zhou family as a son-in-law. Since I could remember, I had never met Zhou Ningwei. 5 years ago, she suddenly found me. "I'll give you 500,000 yuan. You can take my place and help me take care of someone." At that time, my mother had passed away due to illness, and our family owed a large sum of money. I had no other choice and agreed to her. When I met him, I found out that the person she asked me to take care of was Su Lingzhou, the young master of the Su family. He was also her fiancé who had an accident not long after they got engaged. He's a blind man and an outcast from a wealthy family. Who would want to take care of him? She had a look of disgust on her face. If it weren't for considering the bad reputation in the outside world, I would have already broken off the engagement with him. At that time, Zhou Ningwei had just debuted. She got a good role in a play, and her career was on the rise. Afraid of being called heartless, she dumped this difficult task on me. Su Lingzhou had lived a smooth life for 18 years, but suddenly encountered a change. His temper became very bad. During the time when I first went to take care of him, I was always sneered at by his cold words. I was doing the job for the money and never refuted him, until that day. I went to visit my mother at the cemetery and came back a bit late. He started venting his bad temper again. "Zhou Ningwei, stop acting in front of me. Don't think I don't know that you actually despise me in your heart. You're just afraid of the criticism from outsiders, so." He didn't finish the rest of the words, because I suddenly lowered my head and kissed him. In fact, it was my first kiss. It had no skill at all, and because I was a bit angry, it was more like a bite between beasts. But Su Lingzhou suddenly fell silent. Even the tips of his ears turned completely red. With a bit of malice, I bit his lips again. Then I stepped back a little, propped myself on his shoulders, and breathed rapidly. Did you feel it? Do you still think I despise you? I went down with the memory card to find Brother Wang. He was very satisfied. Little Tang, you're quite diligent. Coincidentally, there's a dinner party tonight. I'll take you there to meet some people. As a journalist, connections are very important. I quickly thanked him. However, when we arrived, I saw a familiar black Rolls-Royce in the parking lot. I froze immediately. Are Mr. Su and the others also here tonight? Brother Wang turned around and winked at me. The dinner party I'm taking you to is the one with Mr. Su. Little Tang, don't underestimate your brother Wang's connections. It was already too late to regret at this point. I could only bite the bullet and go in with him. Fortunately, the private room was very large. We little journalists were not at the same table as Su Lingzhou and the others at all. Brother Wang introduced me to many senior colleagues in the industry. This is the new recruit in our company this year. She's a very smart girl named Tang Yuan. Little Tang, come and say hello to everyone. As a newcomer, I inevitably had to propose a toast. In the end, I was so dizzy that I only managed to say sorry before covering my mouth and rushing to the restroom. I vomited until I felt completely disoriented. I rinsed my mouth, splashed some cold water on my face, and walked out. The corridor was dimly lit. There was a familiar figure standing in the dark by the window. My heart skipped a few beats. I originally wanted to pretend not to see him and just go back. I had just taken a step when Su Lingzhou behind me spoke. His slightly deep voice, word by word, seemed to be intertwined with countless complex emotions. Tang, you, and my steps forward froze in place. I swallowed hard with difficulty and heard the sound of footsteps approaching slowly. I closed my eyes instinctively. The sound of footsteps stopped in front of me, and the familiar aura approached inch by inch. I opened my eyes and saw his deep and dark eyes like the sea. Mr. Su, my throat tightened with nervousness, and I said in a low voice, how do you know my name? He didn't speak. He just looked at me for a long while before standing up straight again. Your senior took you around to propose toasts. Everyone in the private room knows what your name is. Thinking of Brother Wang's loud voice, my face suddenly felt a bit hot. Sorry. My senior is very kind to us newcomers. Maybe he was too enthusiastic. If it disturbed your mood, Mr. Su, I apologize to you. I organized my words to explain. I was so afraid of implicating Brother Wang that I even apologized to him. But Su Lingzhou fell silent again. Under the warm yellow light, he squinted his eyes slightly and looked at me with a faint smile. In reporter Tang's eyes, it seems that I'm a very narrow-minded person. I lowered my head and mumbled, that's not what I meant. The next second, a gold embossed business card was handed to me. You're still in your internship period, right? There's a job opportunity. Do you want to give it a try? When I went back, my head was still a bit dizzy. As soon as I entered the door, I was grabbed by Brother Wang. Are you okay, little Tang? I rubbed my aching stomach and said in a low voice, sorry, Brother Wang. I had a stomach operation before, so I can't drink much. He frowned and was about to say something. His gaze swept down and landed on the gold-embossed business card in my hand. He opened his eyes wide in disbelief. Is that Mr. Su's personal business card? I nodded, thinking of the scene just now. It was the legendary business card that was extremely hard to obtain and could be used to directly contact him. I don't accept gifts without merit. I raised my eyes warily and didn't forget to disguise my voice. Such a precious opportunity. Why would Mr. Su give it to an unknown little journalist like me? The corner of his lips curved slightly. Probably. I just find you more pleasing to the eye. This was indeed a reason that was very characteristic of Su Lingzhou. During the 2 years when I took care of him, later on, I gradually got familiar with Su Lingzhou. He would show some of his unruly little tempers in front of me. For example, at certain moments, I gritted my teeth, swallowed the faint sounds between my lips and teeth, and tugged at his hair. You can't see, so don't move around. In the dim light, the young man raised his head slightly, the soft broken hair on his forehead brushed past his out-of-focus eyes. He licked his lips, and his fingers pressed against my neck, exerting a little force. He said softly, "Other places are fine, so you need to be louder. Let me hear you." I came back to my senses and made up a random excuse to deal with Brother Wang. The next day, when I returned to the company, the leader called me over. He said kindly, "Little Tang, you should prepare for that popular emotional live broadcast variety show that's currently in the limelight. You'll participate in the recording as a special guest observer." However, after I started working, the next episode of the program was going to interview Zhou Ningwei and Su Lingzhou. After that interview meeting, the news of their engagement was prominently featured on the trending topics as a warm-up promotion for the program. The fans in the comment section went crazy over it. Having walked through the tough times together, now they meet at the peak. What a beautiful love story. It is said that the Zhou family's company was on the verge of collapse originally, but with the strong support of the Su group, it has recovered now. Such a powerful couple, CP. If you don't ship them, you're not human. I quickly scanned through these comments and then closed the comments section. While confirming the script, the host Yan Duo chatted with me casually. If we can dig out the specific story of Mr. Su and his fiancée during those 2 years, the effect of the program will definitely be great. I gripped the pen in my hand tightly and softly responded with an okay. I knew every detail of what happened during those 2 years better than anyone else. But I couldn't say it. Relying on the resources and connections of the Su family, Zhou Ningwei is now a popular first-tier actress. As soon as the program started, the live broadcast room was crowded with millions of viewers. Under the spotlight, I heard Yang Duo say, "I heard that Mr. Su and Ningwei are already talking about marriage. Can you share the mental journey of the two of you?" Zhou Ningwei turned her head to look at him and smiled faintly. I have never believed those rumors and slurs against him. In my eyes, Lingzhou has always been the person I love the most. She stared at him affectionately. Her eyes were so gentle that they seemed to drip with tenderness. However, Su Lingzhou lowered his eyelashes and smiled. "You're lying. Don't you remember how you disliked me during the time when I just went blind?" Zhou Ningwei was taken aback. Her gaze turned to me on the side, and a hint of fierceness flashed in her eyes. But in front of the camera, she could only force a smile. "I don't really remember, probably because our relationship has become better and better. I only remember the sweet parts when we were in love." I glanced at the real-time bullet comments behind me. Words like "so sweet" filled the entire screen. I put down the script, clenched the microphone, and asked Su Lingzhou a question. "It seems that there are some differences in the views of the two of you. Could there be some hidden story? Why don't you talk about how you got along and adjusted to each other?" I originally thought that he wouldn't say anything, but after a moment of silence, Su Lingzhou still spoke. "During the time when my eyes just had problems, I was very depressed, resenting the whole world, and I didn't like her either. She left early and came back late every day, and she still had to take care of me during her spare time. One day, she was so busy that she was in a daze. She was stewing fish in the pot. And when she went downstairs to buy salt, she forgot to turn off the stove. When she came back, the kitchen was already on fire. My throat seemed to be blocked by something. In a trance, I seemed to feel that evening again. The high temperature brought by the fire still lingered in the air. I dragged Su Lingzhou out of the room. Grabbing his collar, I slapped him and asked viciously, "Do you want to die?" My whole body and my voice were shaking. He didn't quarrel with me tit for tat as he used to. Instead, after a long, long silence, he asked me in a hoarse voice, "Isn't it better if I die? Isn't it also a relief for you?" It seemed that at that moment, I suddenly realized the young master of the Su family who used to be high and mighty was now just a decadent puppy bluffing. So I gasped for breath and pushed him into the room. The wall lit by the flames was black. I unbuttoned his clothes one by one and said in a low voice, I don't have dinner to eat now. You have to compensate me. He seemed to realize something. Are you sure? The rest of his words were blocked and swallowed back by my forceful kiss. Su Lingzhou, I don't think you're a burden. That night, it seemed that the whole world was upside down, and only we were left. And at this moment, he brought up the old matter again. The intimate fiancé sitting beside him was Zhou Ningwei. The whole world thought that it was a memory exclusive to the two of them. A suffocating sense of bitterness exploded in my heart. At such a close distance, a certain familiar yet strange aura emanating from Su Lingzhou was quietly wrapping around me, overwhelmingly, but it no longer belonged to me. He paused for a moment and, amidst the applause of the live audience, finally said, I will always remember that the moonlight that night was so bright that it could illuminate everything I couldn't see. But I listened to her talk all night long. I clenched the pen in my hand and quickly lowered my head. My eyes ached, because I modified the questions on the spot and asked a lot of things that everyone didn't know before. This interview was a great success. At the end of the program, the number of viewers in the live broadcast room had exceeded 10 million. For the first time, the details of the untold and secret past of the person in charge of the Su family were dug out. Everyone seemed very excited. Backstage, Yan Duo patted me on the shoulder. You really are worthy of being a journalist. These questions you changed on the spot are so sharp that people can't help but answer them. As soon as she turned around, she saw Su Lingzhou and Zhou Ningwei coming over. She suddenly fell silent. Su Lingzhou glanced over with an indifferent gaze. Did you prepare the questions for today? I nodded. Zhou Ningwei said with hidden malice, Reporter Tang, you're really good at hitting people's sore spots. But I want to remind you that you should abide by the basic professional ethics. Don't covet what you don't deserve. I didn't say anything. I just looked at Su Lingzhou again. He had a cold expression and only said lightly, Reporter Tang has strong abilities. Next, you will continue to be in charge of the media business docking with our company. Zhou Ningwei suddenly looked at me. In her eyes, there was fear and hatred that she couldn't hide well. She stopped me in a corner where no one was around, with a vigilant and disgusted look in her eyes. Tang Yuan, you're really insatiable. Back then, you clearly took money from me. What are you doing back now? I looked at her calmly. I graduated and came back to work. It was a very ordinary sentence. Work, Tang Yuan. Do you think I'm stupid? But she suddenly went crazy and threw the bag in her hand at me. Get out of here quickly. Just tell him that you voluntarily gave up the work docking, or you won't have a good day. Her Hermes bag hit the ground, the bag chain opened, and things spilled all over the floor. I ignored it and turned around to leave. Zhou Ningwei kept her word. I suddenly started to encounter obstacles everywhere. Several work opportunities that should have belonged to me were all replaced by others temporarily. Before getting off work one evening, the leader suddenly called me into the office. There will be a very important annual development conference next month. You can be the host. I was slightly stunned for a moment and heard him say, Mr. Su specifically asked for you. After getting off work, on the roadside opposite the company, there was actually a very familiar Rolls-Royce parked. The car window opened, revealing Su Lingzhou's indifferent face. Since Reporter Tang is so curious about my past, why don't you come and ask me in person? I lowered my head. I have no intention of prying into Mr. Su's privacy. It's just for work. Even if it's for work, I gave you my personal business card, and you can contact me to ask. I pursed my lips. There's no need. Because at this moment, I suddenly realized that it was already 3 years later. He was Mr. Su, who held great power. He was no longer that young man with a bad temper, who, after being scolded, would pitifully pester me for kisses and comfort like a puppy. The Zhou family had declined. Without Su Lingzhou's acquiescence and indulgence, Zhou Ningwei would never have dared to target me so openly. Perhaps, for him, that past was actually a shame that he didn't want to be mentioned. I was about to leave, but I was stopped by Su Lingzhou. Stop. He pushed open the car door, took a step with his long legs, and blocked my way. Miss Tang, shall we have a chat? I held my bag in front of my chest and asked in a hoarse voice, "What does Mr. Su want to talk about?" The corner of Su Lingzhou's lips curved. There was a hint of helplessness in his gaze as he looked at me. "Talking about work. Is that okay?" In the next half month, Su Lingzhou came to find me twice more. We checked several important decisions to be announced at the conference. Finally, as if he suddenly remembered something, he handed me a document. This large-scale tourism project that hasn't been announced yet is a direct cooperation with the province. You can announce it at the conference as an exclusive news scoop that you dug up. I was silent for a moment. I took it and said thank you. Brother One knew about this and kept persuading me. "It seems that Mr. Su really appreciates you. Why don't you euphemistically mention to him the matter of Zhou Ningwei suppressing you?" I was revising the hosting script and smiled. "No need. Do you think he will make things difficult for his own fiancée for a strange journalist?" On the day of the conference, the venue was packed with people. The seat in the middle that should have been occupied by Su Lingzhou was empty at the moment. Amidst the flashing of countless spotlights, I was announcing several important cooperations of the Su group for the future. Suddenly, a strange journalist stood up and loudly accused me. "Where did you steal this top-secret information from?" I turned cold. My cooperation with the Su group is completely through proper official channels. Proper, people like you who rely on unspoken rules to get ahead by spreading your legs. "Do you even deserve to say such things?" he shouted loudly. "I have evidence." Someone walked onto the stage. It was Zhou Ningwei. She stared at me and gently sighed. "Tang Yuan, it's normal for a little journalist like you to be attracted to Lingzhou. I originally wanted to save you some face. But you really don't shed tears until you see the coffin." The large screen behind me suddenly switched from the PPT to several explicit photos, and the person in the photos, it was me. "You sent him these photos, knocking on his hotel room door in a camisole at midnight, and there's also the surveillance of you checking into a hotel with your leader." As she spoke, the large screen behind her changed again. At the entrance of a dimly lit hotel, my leader and I walked in side by side. "You're such a habitual offender." Amidst the commotion in the audience, the main door of the hall suddenly opened. Su Lingzhou, dressed in a suit, strode in and swept his sharp gaze across the entire audience. He also swept past my face without any hesitation. My heart suddenly sank. The stage spotlight shone on me, as if it was a kind of public punishment under the watchful eyes of everyone. For a moment, there was a lot of discussion from the audience. "Doing such things. She's simply a disgrace to our journalists. It's so despicable. It's really disgusting. She has no professional ethics at all. Let's ban her." I didn't look at anyone. I just stared fixedly at Su Lingzhou. I watched as he looked at Zhou Ningwei and said lightly, "What did you just say?" Zhou Ningwei's eyes suddenly turned red, and tears were about to fall. "Lingzhou, you've been deceived by her. She deliberately pretended to be an exclusive interview journalist to get close to you, just to steal confidential information from you, which is harmful to the entire Su group. Even this opportunity to host the conference independently was obtained through unspoken rules." Su Lingzhou was silent for a moment and then looked at me. "Do you have anything to say?" What did I have to say? In the gaze that Zhou Ningwei cast at me, I felt her hatred and pleasure. I suddenly felt it was extremely absurd. She and I were only 2 years apart in age. We were biological sisters with the same parents. After our mother passed away, she and I should have been the only two closest people in the world. I raised the corner of my lips and smiled mockingly. I clenched the microphone and said, "I want to say, Mr. Su, your fiancée is talking nonsense and deliberately spreading rumors. If because you love her, you want to watch her distort the truth and fabricate facts, I will also write this matter truthfully into the news report of today's conference. The public has eyes. The projects developed by such a decision maker who can't distinguish right from wrong are probably not trustworthy either, whether it was the unruly young master before, or the decisive person in charge rumored now. Upon hearing such an open threat, they should be angry. However, he just walked onto the stage step by step in the light. Standing at the same height, facing me from a distance, he called my name in a very soft voice. Tang Yuan. My heart was filled with a sudden sourness. I didn't want to listen to him defending Zhou Ningwei anymore. I turned my head to the side and said word by word, "All the accusations against me above are completely unfounded rumors. I only have work-related communication with Mr. Su, the fiancé of Miss Zhou. And there is no private contact at all, no contact." Before I could finish my words, I was suddenly interrupted by Su Lingzhou's voice. "You gave me a ring, but you don't plan to take responsibility for me." I was stunned and suddenly turned my head to look at him. He raised his left hand and showed the extremely simple silver ring on his left ring finger. It was made of cheap material, and the craftsmanship was average, but because of the careful care of its owner, it reflected a brilliant luster under the light. This ring seemed to pull me back into the memories of 4 years ago all at once. That day was originally Su Lingzhou's 19th birthday. In the first 18 years of his life, every birthday was extremely luxurious and lively. Only this time, he was so down and out that only I was with him, to make him happy. I worked part-time for 2 days during the breaks of revising my thesis. With the more than 200 yuan I earned, I bought a pair of cheap couple rings. When I got back, I grabbed his hand and put the ring on him. Su Lingzhou couldn't see, but he could feel it. His ears turned red, and he still stubbornly asked me, "What is this?" I teased him. There was a couple arguing on the roadside and throwing things. I squatted there and waited for a long time and picked up this ring. "Yan Master Su, don't dislike it. Don't call me that." His Adam's apple moved, and he carefully protected that cheap silver ring in his arms. "I like it even if it's picked up, because it was given to me by you." He kept his word. In the following days, even during the moments when we were extremely happy, he would still wear that ring. He also said in a hoarse voice, "Did you feel it? This is the love you gave me. Relax a bit. Be careful, it might hurt you." Only at those moments, he would show a bit of the arrogance and uninhibitedness exclusive to a young master. Coming back to my senses from the memories, Su Lingzhou was approaching me step by step. "Say something." "Tang Yuan, there's nothing to say." I clutched the hem of my dress and said in a low voice, "Mr. Su has mistaken someone. Isn't this ring the token of love given to you by your fiancée, Miss Zhou?" He sneered. "I never said how I got this ring. How do you know so clearly?" As he spoke, he had already stopped in front of me. At such a close distance, there was no way to avoid him. There were whispers from the audience. "What does that mean, Mr. Su is saying that the person who accompanied him through the difficult times was actually that little journalist. What about Zhou Ningwei? Don't you think they really look alike?" Zhou Ningwei looked at me with hatred in her eyes, but she had to soften her tone and coax Su Lingzhou. "Lingzhou, don't be deceived by her. This person is always full of lies and has a history of this kind of thing." I closed my eyes and suppressed all the surging emotions in my heart. When I opened them again, I was able to look at him calmly. "Yes, I gave it to you. At that time, for the money, I pretended to be Zhou Ningwei and deceived you for 2 years. Later, I took the money and left. I have already forgotten what happened back then, since you thought that person was Zhou Ningwei from the very beginning, and you are already engaged to her. What's the point of correcting it now?" I couldn't say any more. I swallowed the slightly choked ending sound and took a few deep breaths. I put down the microphone and planned to leave. The moment I turned around, my wrist was grabbed, skin touching skin. A familiar burning temperature came from his palm. His voice sounded softly. "Of course it means something. You said that as long as I wear the ring you gave me, no matter where I go, you will recognize me at a glance. Does that still count?" My eyelashes trembled violently. I lowered my eyes, hiding all my emotions in my voice and burying them deep in my throat. I gently pried his fingers apart and pulled out my hand. When I looked up again, my expression was indifferent. "I've forgotten," I lied. In fact, during the years I studied abroad, I often thought of Su Lingzhou. In the winter of his 19th year, when he was about to return to the Su family, it was the peak of our passionate love period. The winter in the northern city was extremely dry, and when we kissed, we would be slightly stung by the sparks from static electricity. I wasn't without the thought of confessing my identity to him. There were many moments when our feelings were at their strongest. He would kiss my ear and call me in a hoarse voice, Zhoningwei, don't leave me. It was like a basin of cold water suddenly being poured over my head. At that moment, I suddenly realized, from the very beginning, when I came to his side, I had an unspeakable purpose and was pretending to be someone else, Su Lingzhou once told me when I was a child. My cousin tricked me into a closet and locked the door. I almost died in there. Throughout my life, I hate being deceived by others the most. If he knew the truth, would he also hate me to the bone? On the eve of Su Lingzhou's 20th birthday, the old master of the Su family had a serious illness and accidentally learned the truth of what happened back then. Su Lingzhou had been deliberately framed from the start, and even the car accident had been arranged. He sent someone to contact Zhou Ningwei to take Su Lingzhou back. Zhou Ningwei came to me. She was already a well-known actress. Holding her chin up, she looked at me haughtily. Now the Su family wants to recognize him again. You're not still dreaming of rising to a high position, are you? Stop dreaming. Whether it's the Su family or Su Lingzhou, the only one they recognize is me, Zhou Ningwei. From the very beginning, you were just a counterfeit. She took out a check from her bag and threw it at me. I'll give you another 500,000 yuan. Stop having unrealistic dreams, otherwise, I will tell everything about what happened back then. I suddenly raised my head and stared at her. Zhou Ningwei, Mom is also your mom. My mom is the eldest lady of the Zhou family. What is she? She sneered. Just a prostitute. That day, the sun was setting. The light was blood red. I lost my mind, grabbed Zhou Ningwei's collar, and gave her 2 fierce punches. Amid her screams, someone rushed in from outside, twisted my arm, and pressed me to the ground. The glamorous actress stood in front of me, looking down at me. Am I wrong? Take the money and go abroad obediently. Don't show up and be an eyesore again. Otherwise, I'll have someone carve all her ugly deeds from back then on her tombstone. She left. I stared at the check that had fluttered to the ground. I thought back to 2 years ago. Because my mom was ill, our family had borrowed a lot of debt. After she passed away, I couldn't even afford a decent gravestone. Just then, Zhou Ningwei contacted me. Want money? Before I could finish speaking, she sneered. She only raised me for a few days. Once a person is dead, they're dead. Why should I give money for her? I thought she was holding a grudge and wanted to explain. Back then, she wanted your custody. It was you who cried and wanted to go with Dad. Of course I wanted to go to the Zhou family with Dad. Do you think I'm as stupid as you? Zhou Ningwei's face turned cold and interrupted me. What? Do you still want to keep me here and live a poor life like yours, where you can't even afford a gravestone when you die? I looked at Zhou Ningwei in front of me. All the words got stuck in my throat, and I couldn't spit out a single word. On that face that was 6 or 7 points similar to mine and exquisitely made up, there was nothing but impatience and disgust. The silk dress she was wearing, the diamond necklace around her neck, and the crocodile leather bag on her arm, any one of these items was worth an astronomical price that I couldn't even imagine. She picked up the coffee on the table and took a leisurely sip. Finally, she revealed her purpose. However, for the sake of us being sisters, if you want money, I'm not unwilling to give it to you. 500,000 yuan. You pretend to be me and go to take care of someone for me. The original conference venue had turned into a farce. Seeing that the people present were looking at her more and more strangely, some people even turned their microphones and cameras towards her. Miss Zhou, is what Mr. Su said just now true? Was the person who accompanied him when he was down and out really not you, but that reporter Tang? Are the accusations you made just now all rumors? She couldn't refute and could only look at Su Lingzhou for help. Lingzhou, you know me best. I've accompanied you for so many years. How could I do such a thing? Su Lingzhou looked down at her from the stage and smiled. Don't be afraid. Didn't you say you have conclusive evidence? The lawyer is already here. Everything today will be truthfully recorded and evidence will be collected. His voice was gentle and low, as if to soothe her. But Zhou Ningwei was like she had seen a terrifying monster. She suddenly started shaking all over. The conference couldn't go on anymore. I packed up the hosting script and turned to go off the stage. Su Lingzhou silently chased after me. "It's raining outside. Let me give you a ride." The rainstorm was pouring down like water being splashed. I thought for 3 seconds and decided not to make myself suffer. When I got into Su Lingzhou's Rolls-Royce, I turned my head and saw a hint of hidden joy in his eyes. However, when I took out my phone, I realized that what happened at the conference just now had been live-streamed by the cameras. It was on the trending topics. Under several topics, netizens were arguing fiercely, so Zhou Ningwei took credit for what that little journalist did. How could she be so shameless? What do you mean by taking credit? For a woman like her who rises to the top by sleeping around, who knows who's lying? I've verified it. Those nude photos were photoshopped. Peas, even if it was really her, she was just doing the job for the money from the start. The job is done and she's taken the money. What's there for her to feel wronged about? Am I the only one who thinks Su Lingzhou is so pitiful? Neither of these two women is any good. They've both been lying to him. My heart suddenly felt blocked by something. I quickly turned off my phone and turned my head to look. The rain was like small rivers across the car window. It mixed the lights that were rapidly receding outside the window into a patchwork of colorful and mottled colors. Compared to 3 years ago, the scenery of the city hadn't changed at all. But between me and Su Lingzhou, everything had changed completely. At that time, the Su family invited the most renowned experts to come out of retirement after 2 surgeries. Su Lingzhou was finally able to see the light again. The bodyguards that Zhou Ningwei hired at a high price stayed near me 24 hours a day, guarding strictly. They were afraid that I would go to see Su Lingzhou and tell the truth. However, on the day he regained his eyesight, that group of people took me to the hospital on their own initiative. I couldn't see Su Lingzhou through the door of the ward, but I could hear his insecure voice. "Zhou Ningwei, Lingzhou, I'm here," Zhou Ningwei said in a low voice. "I was really worried about you." Her voice, which she had deliberately changed, was almost exactly the same as mine. Su Lingzhou didn't notice anything strange. He just said somewhat unhappily, "You said that when I regained my eyesight, you would be the first person I saw. You broke your promise." I didn't listen to the rest. A sudden intense pain welled up in my heart, almost swallowing me whole. From the very beginning, in Su Lingzhou's world, the person who accompanied him through those 2 years was Zhou Ningwei, not me, not Tang Yuan. Zhou Ningwei's bodyguards dragged me into the nearby lounge. After a while, she walked in wearing high heels. Her makeup was as exquisite as ever, only the lipstick on her lips was smudged into a mess. Su Lingzhou kissed me. "He really loves me and can't live without me." As she touched up her makeup, she said to me slowly, "You took good care of him these 2 years, but for him, I did all of this. A person of your low status will never, ever have any connection with him. Where are you going?" "Home," Su Lingzhou's voice suddenly sounded, interrupting my memories. I lowered my head slightly. "Could you please take me to the company, Mr. Su? I still have some work to deal with." However, instead of starting the car, he put one hand on the steering wheel and leaned over. His expression actually looked a bit sad. "Do you really have to call me with such a distant name, at such a close distance?" His familiar aura, mixed with the fresh smell of rain, it coiled around me. It almost dragged me back into countless memories of the past. At this moment, I suddenly didn't want to endure it anymore. I pushed him away and looked at him coldly. "Otherwise, how should I call you? Should I call you Yan Master, or Su Lingzhou? Do you want me to be like 3 years ago, when I got injured while protecting you, and you called out Zhou Ningwei's name to me?" He suddenly fell silent. "Those 2 years are over. The person you have a marriage contract with has always been Zhou Ningwei. Your life has returned to normal. Why are you pestering me? But this isn't my normal life." Su Lingzhou looked at me, his eyes gradually turning red. I had never met Zhou Ningwei before. From the very beginning, the only person I recognized was you. Dense pain welled up from my heart. I closed my eyes, and when I opened my mouth, my voice couldn't stop trembling. "You're still lying to me, Su Lingzhou. On the day you regained your eyesight, I was outside the ward. I heard you mistake Zhou Ningwei for me without any doubt. You hugged her and kissed her. He suddenly interrupted me. I didn't. The moment I opened my eyes, I knew she wasn't you. I was suddenly stunned. I heard Su Lingzhou's seemingly calm voice. The situation in the Su family is very complicated. On that day in the ward, there was more than one person with evil intentions, someone who wanted to kill me, so the moment I realized she wasn't you, I made a decision. Zhou Ningwei was the best and most perfect target. He raised the corner of his lips, and a hint of a cold smile appeared in his eyes. She likes to pretend to be someone else, doesn't she? Then let her pretend all she wants. Some images from news reports suddenly flashed through my mind. I saw them when I was studying for a master's degree abroad. It said that when Zhou Ningwei was filming, there was a real explosion and she almost died in the fire. It also said that when she went on a trip with Su Lingzhou, she was hit by a huge billboard and was almost in danger of losing her life. I didn't mean not to recognize you on purpose. Many things have happened in these 3 years, after Grandpa passed away. One after another, people from the Su family jumped out and tried to kill me, but now, they are either in prison or in the underworld. Among them, it even includes my biological mother. Actually, I'm not afraid of death. When my cousin went crazy and stabbed me with a knife as he was forced to give up all his shares, I didn't even feel the pain. At that moment, I just missed you so much. The parking lot was silent all around, under the dim car lights. He took off his suit and unbuttoned his white shirt one by one. He revealed the scar near his heart on his chest. The Su family is too chaotic. It's not that easy to gain control of it, but it doesn't matter. After today, Zhou Ningwei and the last remaining forces that supported her rise should also fall. The entire Su family, including me, can be yours. He leaned closer little by little and stared at me at a very close distance. In the past, those eyes were always out of focus and grayish. But now, they were as bright as stars that contained the entire universe. I swallowed hard and said in a low voice, "But you are already with Zhou Ningwei. I have never kissed her, never." He slightly emphasized his tone. "I'm clean, sister, you can check for yourself." Just this one sentence made the string of reason in my mind snap completely when I pounced on him and tore open his collar. Countless passionate memories of the past flooded into my mind. His lowest point was also the 2 most unstable and confused years of my life, those emotions that were reckless and had nowhere to be vented. In the end, they all turned into our lingering love that was as intense as if we were risking our lives. On the reclined car seat, I clutched the tie around Su Lingzhou's bare neck. Just like the moments of pleasure after countless conflicts in the past, I pulled it little by little and tightened it, in the slight sense of suffocation. Su Lingzhou squinted his eyes and let out a comfortable sigh. "I missed you so much." He held me in his arms, buried his face in the crook of my neck, and his hot palm rubbed against my waist side by side. They were so stupid. How could that well-behaved and obedient vase be you? No one can ever act like you. His originally cold and sharp voice was now filled with lust. By the time the passion subsided, it was already late at night. Su Lingzhou drove the car in front of a villa. The slightly messy tie was still hanging around his neck with visible red marks. I took out my phone and saw the news with a bright red trending label on the trending topics. #Zhou Ningwei taken away for investigation. Last month, my half-brother on my mother's side contacted her, threatening her with knowing her secrets. He asked her to steal the tender documents and other confidential files from me. I was silent for a moment and then said softly, "I know, you know." Su Lingzhou suddenly turned his head. "Did you arrange this?" And I nodded, pinching the palm of my hand and forcing myself to look into his eyes. "The reason I came back this time is to destroy the Zhou family, to bring down Zhou Ningwei, and to reverse the case that the Zhou family framed my mother in 20 years ago. For this result, I'm willing to pay any price. This is the most important reason why I'm engaged in media work. 20 years ago, because she took a fancy to my father." The Unmasking of the Zhou family set up a trap to frame my mother, saying that she was engaged in prostitution, and the Yan Zhoningwei, in order to live the life of a Yan lady, actually helped the outsiders. She personally pushed her own mother into the abyss. My mother was detained for 15 days and also lost her job. After coming home, all the neighbors pointed fingers at her and stood up for my father. After my parents divorced, with that shameful reputation on her back, my mother took me and embarrassingly returned to the countryside. She was depressed and passed away due to illness just after she turned 50, and on the day she passed away, on the TV in the hospital, there was news about the Zhou family being reported. They said that the Zhou couple loved each other deeply and their children were excellent. They were even considered a model among wealthy families. How ridiculous. When my mother died, she weighed less than 70 pounds. There were green and purple needle marks on the back of her hand. She could have lived to be 100. The Zhou family's business is also not clean. They have harmed so many people. Do they deserve to be called a model? I covered my eyes and forced back the surging tears. Su Lingzhou, I used you because I knew you wouldn't let go of those who betrayed you. I let her deliberately violate your taboo. If you feel hurt because of this and hate me, it doesn't matter. But I must send her to hell with my own hands. I suppressed all my emotions and made myself look at him as calmly as possible. But, sister, your hand is shaking. Su Lingzhou grabbed the hand I had behind my back and carefully brought it to his lips and kissed it. Don't be afraid. I'm more than happy that you used me. It proves that you have me in your heart. Of course I'll be on your side. I said that the entire Su family, including me, is yours. The matter of Zhou Ningwei being taken away for investigation caused a huge stir on the trending topics for 3 days. The Zhou family wanted to suppress the public opinion, so they came to Su Lingzhou for help. He sat behind the desk. After listening to their request, he smiled. What you said is very touching, but how to decide this matter? Sorry. It has to be up to my fiancé. My father, accompanied by his wealthy wife, turned around and saw me. His face changed immediately. I smiled at them. You two should prepare as soon as possible, because soon, you'll end up just like her. Su Lingzhou held a press conference to clarify the relationship between him and Zhou Ningwei. In the face of the questions, he had a faint smile. Fiancé, I've never admitted that it's her. The one I've been talking about is the one who accompanied and took care of me back then. Someone asked, but didn't she take Zhou Ningwei's money to take care of you? The smile was still on Su Lingzhou's lips, but his eyes turned cold inch by inch. Reporter, I advise you to be cautious with your words and actions. There are so many rich people in this world. Why did she only take money to take care of me? Isn't it because she loves me? The reporter fell silent. Who was sitting next to him, was also silent. After this press conference ended, I released those several recordings when she came to me back then. He's a blind man and an outcast from a wealthy family. Who would want to take care of him? She only raised me for a few days. Once a person is dead, they're dead. Why should I give money for her? Do you still want to keep me here and live a poor life like yours, where you can't even afford a gravestone when you die? The public opinion was in an uproar. Come on, I thought her persona has always been that of an elegant and generous actress, so she and Tang Yuan are biological sisters, and she took the initiative to ask someone to replace herself. All her outfits together are worth over $1 million, but she won't even pay for her own mother's gravestone. How disgusting, taking advantage of this overwhelming public opinion. I started a live broadcast in front of millions of people. I told the truth of what happened 20 years ago. The eldest lady of the Zhou family, Zhou Jing, took a fancy to my father. They didn't want to make things clear and just got divorced. Instead, they joined hands to set up a trap to frame my mother, making her bear that embarrassing reputation and live her life in shame. Standing behind me was a timid man with a crew cut. During my postgraduate studies and internship, I inquired everywhere and spent a lot of effort. Only then did I find the whereabouts of this person from a senior female colleague. He had the habit of petty theft and had been in trouble with the law a few times later. Back then, that matter was instigated by Zhou Jing. Then Ms. Tang was indeed innocent. She was tricked by her own daughter into going to a drinking party of the Zhou family. She drank too much, and I helped her to the room and stuffed a stack of money under the pillow. Zhou Jing had someone call the police in advance. Before my mother, who had been deliberately drunk, could sober up, the door was pushed open by the people who came for the anti-prostitution raid. Even now, it's still easy to frame a woman, spread malicious rumors about her, and label her as a slut. What's more, it was in that era. I majored in journalism and work in the media not just for this one case. I will spend the rest of my life fighting for justice for all the girls who have been wronged and slandered. This live broadcast added the final straw to the downfall of the Zhou family. From the very beginning, the way they made their fortune was not clean. Now that there is a strict investigation going on, they just happened to be in the line of fire all along. It wasn't me who was supporting them, but my good half-brother on my mother's side, Su Lingzhou said. It's just that there were some collaborations in projects, and we can withdraw from them at any time. Don't worry, it won't affect me. I finally felt relieved. I submitted all the evidence I had collected over the years to the police, thanks to the fact that after Su Lingzhou took over the Su family, he cut off all ties with those people cleanly. He wasn't implicated. On the day the Zhou family was completely destroyed, I held a bouquet of flowers and took Su Lingzhou to visit my mother at the cemetery. In the photo on the tombstone, her smile was still so gentle, but it always carried a hint of sadness. She was a kind and gentle woman, and she truly loved my father. Because of this, she couldn't move on for so many years. Back then, before she died, she was lying in bed, holding my hand and telling me not to blame Zhou Ningwei. She said that your sister isn't the biological child of the Zhou family and must have had a hard time there. She didn't know. Over the years, Zhou Ningwei had been relying on belittling and humiliating her. She tried to gain favor in front of Zhou Jing and gradually established her position in the entire Zhou family. From the day she was brought into the Zhou family, she had started to decay. I gently stroked the photo on the tombstone with my fingertips. Mom, no one will think you were in the wrong in that matter anymore. I have a good career now. And I also have a boyfriend. Su Lingzhou stood aside and corrected me in a low voice. Fiancé. All right, fiancé. I subconsciously twirled the silver ring on my left ring finger, which matched Su Lingzhou's. After going abroad that year, I hid it at the bottom of my suitcase. I thought that I would never have the chance to wear it again in my life. I arranged the bouquet of flowers in front of the tombstone, stood up, and bowed. When I turned around, Su Lingzhou was staring at me, and you go and wait for me in the car outside first. I want to have a few words alone with Auntie. The autumn night wind was cool. I waited in the car for a long time before I saw Su Lingzhou come back. The black coat on him was stained with dewdrops, making the lines of his cheekbones more distinct. I turned my face to ask him, "What did you say to my mom?" He started the car. It was a long while before he said, "I just said thank you to her for bringing you into this world. Otherwise, I would have died in the summer 5 years ago when I was at the lowest point of my life." When everything finally settled down, I successfully became a full-time employee and even got a small promotion. I started to independently take charge of interview tasks. This time, it was about a high school girl who had been bullied on campus by wealthy students in the school for a whole year. She jumped off the school rooftop. Those people's families are wealthy and powerful, and no one dares to mess with them. The leader looked at me, hesitating to speak. "If you don't want to take this task." Of course I want to. I took the documents. Coincidentally, I'm working on a planning proposal for an advocacy campaign on the theme of this bullying. I'll send it to you for review in the afternoon. It's rare that Su Lingzhou is now wealthy and powerful, since I have him to rely on. Of course I should make use of it. This interview, along with the subsequent anti-bullying publicity campaign I planned, kept me busy for half a month. I hardly had a chance to meet Su Lingzhou. He sent 20 messages, and I only had time to reply with an emoji while biting into a piece of bread and checking the public opinion. That night, he said he had prepared a surprise for me and asked me to go home for sure. I pushed open the door. The night sky was twinkling with stars, in the room filled with steaming mist. He leaned against the headboard, panting like a puppy and looking at me. His eyes were filled with a sticky look, lingering on me, and "You've been ignoring me for a long time." I stared at him for a long time, even the decisive and powerful Mr. Su's ears turned red. Then I took off the camera strap and threw it to him. "Fasten it yourself," because I had been running around all day. My voice was very hoarse. "I'll go take a shower first." Su Lingzhou was very obedient when I came out wiping my dripping hair. He had already arranged everything. There was only a small lamp left on the headboard, and the moonlight flowed in like melted ice water. Even so, it still couldn't cool down the humid and hot mist in the room by half. And "Kiss me, you're too tense, let me out a bit." Every word, combined with his seductive eyes, was full of temptation. By the time the intense passion subsided, it was the early morning when the sky was turning pale. I suddenly remembered something. I'm going on a business trip to another place next month. There's a very important interview about a little girl in the mountains who has been collectively violated by the villagers for a long time. She walked alone in the mountains for a whole night before she could contact me at the internet cafe in the town. That place is quite backward, and the local forces are intricately connected. It's estimated that it won't be easy to get to the bottom of it, so I'll stay there for a longer time. His hand tightened on the protruding bones of my back. "There will be danger, then so be it." I didn't care much. I turned over and sat up, lighting a cigarette for myself. Suddenly, my senior colleague Brother Wang, who had been guiding me, turned his head. "But this kind of thing is originally the mission and responsibility of us media workers." Su Lingzhou was silent for a moment. Suddenly he said, "I'll go with you. But don't you have a very important contract to negotiate next week? It can be postponed." "Why, actually, there's no need, I tried to reason with him. The words that hadn't been spoken yet were all blocked back by Su Lingzhou's passionate kiss. That kiss went all the way down and stopped at my most sensitive neck. He was panting wetly. He said in a hoarse voice, "Because I'm your most loyal guard, you just go ahead and pursue your dreams, and I'll escort you every step of the way." The end of the full text.